Medical clinic says it's a growing problem, a lack of minorities participating in medical research, not only here, but nationwide.
6 News' Johan Marin tells us they're trying to bring attention to the issue here in the metro.
Quality clinical research is on a mission to bridge the health disparity many minorities face on the daily.
We don't know that those medications are really being studied as carefully in people who are minorities because we don't have the representation.
Tracy Wesson of Quality Clinical Research says it's an issue that's constantly overlooked. The minority groups that are least represented in research are Latinos and Hispanics and African Americans.
We're just not part of the process.
Wesson found that Latinos and Hispanics make up 11% of research, while African Americans make only 8%, which are both about 4 percentage points below the population.
Not everybody's the same, and different treatments help different people, and bodies react different.
Tracy Milgram with the medical clinic and her team are now going out into the community, informing minority groups like African Americans and Latinos and Hispanics. Kaylin Medina, a bilingual recruiter with the clinic, joined the effort to have minorities join research related to medications and vaccines.
People don't know that it's available to them, but it really does make a difference.
On your side, Johan Marin, 6 News.
Quality Clinical Research is expanding the research in South Omaha with help from Soma Medical Associates.